Okay, good day, everyone. I'm just going to be reviewing the assignment, and I just took one of the assignments and just made sure it was correct and edited a couple of things to make sure it's perfect, so I can show you what a perfect assignment would look like, right? And some of the problems that we had. So, for example, in the first part, you were supposed to make some changes in the file. So you should have you should put your show hide characters on, and then you should see at least one page break at the end of every page. You could see some column breaks when people go to different columns. You could see a section break. But basically, where the breaks were, it depended on how you formatted yours, right? But the biggest one I saw was that several people were missing. I told them the minimum you needed was a page break at the end of every page, some sort of a break that took you to the next page. So that should be there for each one. It was minimal points that were lost on this. I think there was only one or two people that had no breaks whatsoever in their document, which everything was done manually. Then you had to have one page that was supposed to be done landscape, so that was just one. Some people had two or more, some people had none, and many people had one, so that was correct, right? Then you also had the margins. So as long as your margins were not set up to where it was the default margins, which was 1 inch all the way around, then you got your points there. So that was the first one. Then on your first page, which was your cover page, you were supposed to have, let me make this a little bit smaller so it's not as bulky on the screen, put it down to 100%. You're supposed to have some form of smart art with this information that was in there, right? So this is what you should have had. There were quite a few people I know that in the groups that I graded that had pictures instead, right? They didn't use the smart art, so you were supposed to go to insert and then you were supposed to use the actual smart art feature here. So this is what you were supposed to use. This is how it was explained in the video and the sessions that were provided in your guidance, right? Then the next was page numbers and page footers, and the first page was supposed to have nothing on the top and nothing on the bottom. Then starting in the second page, your header should have had your page numbers in it. In the description that I had given, I said I would give you either for page 1 or for page 2, whatever format that you chose. And then at the bottom should have your footer, which was your name and your course, the course that you're in. And then each page should go after that. Oh, we have an issue here on this one because the page numbers didn't go in order. And then we have the footer at the bottom. And again, when you come to the last page, you're supposed to have nothing at the bottom, right? So we had situations where people put the number in the top, put the number in the bottom instead of in the top. Some people didn't put no footers. Some people had a lot of blank pages. So there was quite a few variations on that. As far as remember that when you do your headers and your footers, you would have to either link it to previous or unlink from previous. You could use different first page, but anytime you're dealing with headers and footers, this is where you're going to be dealing with your what you want to see in the top of them, right? Then the next one would have been the table. So the table had to have basically 3 columns and 7 rows. Many people did the opposite of that, which it didn't look correct if you looked at it. Some people had some spelling issues when they had inside here. Some people didn't do the second population whatsoever, and I had put a link in there where to find those numbers. Some people were creative and did 2000 and 2010, which is fine. That was accepted. Below the table, you're supposed to have the source of where you got the information from, and you should have used some sort of design on the table under design and chose one of the ones that were there and give it some color, right? So that's how you got the points for the table. Then you had the 3 pictures. So each of the pictures, the way it was described, should have a caption at the bottom, and you should have done that by right-clicking the picture, and then you would have put, you would have used the caption. Let me do it again. This software slows down my computer. So you should have insert caption is what you should have used, and in that caption you were supposed to put the description of the picture. If you wanted to leave the figure 2 or figure 1, that's fine, and then you were all supposed to have the source where you got it from, so basically the company name and the year, and this all would lead up to the references later, right? Again, you were supposed to have it look similar to a newsletter, and also use themes and styles, which the styles are here, and then under the design you have the themes, right? So a combination of it. It should have had, basically, newsletters typically have additions, they have dates, they have columns, they have a heading at the top. So this is how a newsletter would look, right? Then each of your pictures also is supposed to have a link. So when you click on the picture or you hover your mouse over the picture, I'm not seeing it on this one. It was there a moment ago. Let me see if I see it here. Yeah, okay. So here is the picture. You would now press Control and click it, and it would take you to the website. Some people have the URLs below the picture. They put a special spot where they said hyperlinks, and this was how it was explained. In case you had problems with the rubric, you had to watch the video explanation of the rubric in order to make sure that you got this correct. So if you didn't do it like that, you didn't get all the points. And then the last item there was the references, and the references page should be on its own page. It should have been references or works cited at the top. The 4 resources, in this case, 1 for each picture, and then the information for the population data would be listed in APA format and double spaced, which is part of APA format. So this is how you had to get the full points on this newsletter. When it came to the invoice, here what you were asked to do was to basically either use a template or create something from blank, and you would basically create a template. So the first thing I wanted to mention is that what I explained to you was that saving it as a template with the word template in the name does not mean it's a template. You had to save it as a DOTX. There's another one that you could use that has the macros in it. You could have used any other versions, but it had to be a template file. And when you were done, it would say here, Microsoft, let me just make this bigger. It would say here, Microsoft Office a template file, right? So that's what you were supposed to see. And so here's the same thing, sample invoice.docx, Microsoft Word template, and here's a sample invoice docx. That's a document, so that's not a template. So it was supposed to be saved as a template type. That's the first thing. So that could lose you 5 points right off the top. Then with any template, you were supposed to use the information that was shown. You didn't have to type it identically, but you had to have at least the information that was there as a minimum. Then you were supposed to make additions and changes as necessary for your invoice. So the one that was the sample gave you an item purchased, but you had to have multiple spaces because you never know if anybody's coming in is buying just one item. Then you were supposed to have a line for subtotal, tax, and total. On top of that, you were supposed to customize it. If it had a spot for logo, you couldn't just leave the insert logo. You had to put your business logo, your business name, your business address, your phone number, contact, and anywhere it said like contact your company and so forth, that would have to be changed. At the same time, there should be no customer information and no invoice and no date and no sales items, because if this is indeed a template, that means every time you open it, you would have to delete that information. Either that, or every time you open it, that customer has to be the person that you're serving and the items that they're buying, or at least will be added to that invoice. So this was the reason why I explained specifically in the video instructions that you are not supposed to have any identifying information regarding sale items or customers' names. A date or an invoice should not have been present in there. You were supposed to add a little bit of color to it and have it be a little bit customized from the template that you may have used, and that's what you are required to do for this invoice. So if you did all of that, you got full points. If not, you'll have to look at your rubric and see where you lost your points. All right, folks, that's it. Thank you very much.